Who do you like in the Usman-Edwards rematch?
So one thing that I think is interesting in terms of handicapping the fight is the altitude. So Gilbert Durinho Burns, who fought Kamaru Usman for the title, has predicted that Leon Edwards will win this trilogy matchup. And his analysis is largely rooted in the altitude. Leon Edwards got off to a great start in Salt Lake City. I looked it up today, 4,300 feet above sea level. Kamaru Usman trains in Denver, full mile, 5,280 above sea level. Leon Edwards, Birmingham, England, 459 feet above sea level. So I do think this is a potential factor. When I have the fighter meeting with Leon Edwards, the first thing I'm going to ask him, Ken, is why so listless in rounds 2, 3, and 4? Was it a physical thing, right? Because certainly he was able to dig deep and land that head kick. But for Leon Edwards, there were huge pockets of this fight where he didn't do anything. So in terms of room for improvement, I think there's a lot more for Leon Edwards. So I think he's more competitive than, the plus 220 or so that's sitting next to his name. And, we'll see. But until I hear Leon talk to me about the altitude, it's kind of hard to just completely dismiss that as a fact.
I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said about room for improvement. Again, I'm going to go back to boxing. The old timers, John, would always say to me, when you win a title, you automatically become 30% better. Now, really, and I've seen it. And I always talk about this, John. You've heard me where 75% of my business, your business, is this, the mind. 75% of it's the mind. What do you believe? What don't you believe? You need the body. We get it. You need the proper training. You need the endurance. You need the quick twitch muscle. You need the technique. All of that, 100%. But this, this is the drive of the car. This you could have the Ferrari, but if you got the wrong guy driving it, you're just going into a wall. So I'm looking at that from me. I'm looking at that. I immediately, the way he walks into the cage, the way he leaves the locker room, when he gets in there, I'm looking at that. A lot of people might say that's trivial stuff. No, not for me. I want to see, is that 30% showing? Is that 30% improvement from winning the title? Is it there?
I love to hear you say it, right? Because I have leaned into this angle. And you can be sure Alexa Grasso is going to be better the next time we see her. But Leon Edwards, physically, he already looks better. His muscle mass already looks different than it did last August. So, yeah, man, I don't know if he's going to be 30% better, but he's absolutely going to be better. And is Kamaru Usman going to be better? It stands to reason he could be. But this is the guy that was 15-0 going into that last fight in the UFC, right? So I don't know, man. I just think there's a lot of pressure on Kamaru walking into that O2 Arena in London. I'm clenching my fists because I am already feeling the tension of this fight.
Speaking about the mental side, you're right, because you just said it, 15-0 when he was walking in. He had that aura of invincibility. That's gone.
Yeah.
I got news for you. When that's gone, I'm not saying you don't come back, but there's a difference. There's a void. There's a gap. There's a wound.
Yeah.
When that's gone, when it was gone with Tyson, it was different. He was different. Even from the people that were facing him, that intimidation, that X factor that Kenna talk about, that variable, that was gone. That was one less thing in the arena, one less thing to deal with for the opponent. And so that's gone. So now we got to see, how does he do with that gone?
Yeah.
What does he replace that with?
It certainly factors in. And sometimes I'll say to a fighter in our fighter meeting, I keep harkening back to them, but I'll say, do you have any negative emotions when it comes to training? Or do you think about retirement? And Kamaru Usman has started to think about retirement. And perhaps that's because it's been 10 successive championship training camps. Perhaps it's because there have been some hand surgeries. Who knows? Perhaps it's because his bankroll is fatter than yours and mine at this point.
He wasn't thinking that before he lost, I'm going to guess. Right.
But, I do think that once guys start to think about the end, it can be hard to be as primal as you once were.
Yeah, 100%. Once you got one foot out the door, that door is now becomes relevant that never was relevant before. That door, that possibility is open, that you have another option. See, what makes these guys great is they got no option. They got no option. They get in there, they have to win. This is their life. They got no option. Once you have a foot out the door, guess what? You have an option. It changes things immediately.